I guess let's begin at the very first track, Alone with My Faith. Powerful song, resonates so powerfully with many of us right now. What gave birth to that?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's nice to be with you. So the song Alone with My Faith came after I wrote and performed all of the other songs on the album. I have a manager I've been with since I was 18, and I sent her the record to listen to, and she called me back and said, "This is an album about faith." I said, "Yes, it is." And she says, "You should call it Alone with My Faith." And I don't think she thought I was going to take her seriously, but I thought about that. And I said, I really was physically alone, but I had my faith to help get me through and continue to help get me through this time. So I wrote the song, I recorded it, and decided to, make it the title track on the album.
What pushed you or led you to recording a gospel album? I know that, your tour was canceled. You find yourself at home alone with your studio instruments and no support. What made you decide that I'm going to use this time to write a gospel album?
Well, I grew up, in New Orleans, and I was really lucky to have a lot of friends who played gospel music. I played gospel music. I heard liturgical music my whole life growing up in the church. And I always wanted to make a gospel album. I wouldn't call this the gospel album I had thought about making, only because it's not a collection of spirituals that everybody knows. It's got some original songs. And quite honestly, some of the songs deal with struggling with faith as much as having faith. So when I was home, I found myself counting on my faith or questioning my faith or whatever it was. And I said, I'm going to write about it. And so the album that I thought was going to be a gospel album, 5-10 years down the road, turned out to be this album now, because it was really helping me get through this time.
A beautiful piece of the story is we hear you record Amazing Grace, and I understand that your daughter actually ends up directing the music video and choosing the art for this project. How did that happen? How did she get involved? And how do you feel, Dad?
I feel amazing. My wife and I have 3 daughters, and Georgia's the oldest. She's 24, and she is an amazing photographer and film director. And it came time to shoot the album cover, and I said, Georgia, I'd love for you to do it. So she took an amazing picture, and then came time to do the video for Amazing Grace. I said, you feel like working with me on this? She said, I would love to. So she found the location. She sort of mapped out her artistic vision, and I was, I thought it was terrific. And then I think the new video, Alone with My Faith, is either out now or it's just about to come out. It was another home run for her. She's just a super talent, and I couldn't be more proud.
I think I've read you say that this was an album that you not only had to produce, but you needed to write this album. Why did you need to do this?
Well, I've never done an album where I was writing in real time of what I was going through. And here's what I mean. Like, if you have a breakup, your heart's broken. I don't know about you. I wouldn't want to go to the piano and, play my feelings right then. I'd be too heartbroken. Or if you suffer a loss, it's bigger for me than music. It's a personal thing that you just have to kind of deal with. And eventually, maybe you can use that experience to inspire some music. But this is a situation that we're in literally right now as I'm talking to you, where it's a shared experience of loss, confusion, hope. And I don't know you, but I know that you're feeling what I'm feeling, because we're all wondering when this is going to end. And I needed it for myself to sort of sing the songs that helped me articulate my feelings. And I also had the knowledge that maybe, if I was lucky, this music could give some other folks some comfort too.
It certainly does. We are going to hear on the project some very familiar tunes. I was glad to see that you did the Old Rugged Cross. There's a video on YouTube of you back in 2013 at a church. I want to say it's in Connecticut. That I've listened to for a long time of you singing it. So I was hoping that you put it on the album, and you did. There's Amazing Grace. Talk about the songs, though, that we're not familiar with. What can people look forward to hearing that, you
Yeah.
wrote as a
So
result?
I'm a Christian and I'm proud of my faith, but I also realize that this is a big world and there's a lot of people in it, and I love and respect them so much. And I wanted to include them in this process too. So some of the songs are certainly from a Christian perspective, like "Old Rugged Cross" or "Because He Lives" or "How Great Thou Art." But there are other songs that I wrote that are about faith in every level of faith, whether you're feeling doubtful about it or whether you're super powerfully strong about it. Those are the original songs. And I think it gives it some worth in our contemporary world because, again, this is a shared experience. So these songs are written for what we're all going through together.
Mm. One of the songs on the project is called "All These Miracles." And it speaks of miracles. And I think that many of us believe that this is a time when we're certainly in need of miracles. Where did that song come from?
From exactly what you're talking about, and the fact that miracles are around us, and I think for me, I got to be open to them. I remember my daughter Georgia, when she was about 2, I was taking her to the park, and she bent down in the driveway and picked up a little rock, a tiny pebble, and she was looking at it. You know how kids kind of squat down? I said, "Georgia, come on, we late for the park." And she just ignored me, and she was looking at this little thing, and it hit me. She's never seen that little pebble before. That's miraculous to her. And I need to open myself up for all of the miracles that are around us, and they're there. We just need to be aware of them.
Do you have a favorite hymn that you're sharing here?
Probably "Old Rugged Cross." I love that song, and because it's this mixture of such joy and pain. I mean, you're talking about the cross, and as the song says, the emblem of suffering and shame. But at the same time, I'm going to cling to it, and I love that cross, and I'm going to exchange it someday for a crown. I mean, it just in a short period of time, it kind of goes through all of these different feelings, and the melody is beautiful. And like any great song for a musician, it allows you to reinterpret it and still maintain the integrity of the song. Like you could do anything to that song and you're still going to know it's the Old Rugged Cross. So if I had to pick a favorite of all of the famous songs, it would probably be that one.
Mm-hmm. What's your earliest connection to the gospel tradition? What do you remember?
So the earliest connection I don't remember, because my dad was running for district attorney of New Orleans, and he went everywhere that there was a public gathering to introduce himself to the community. So he went to synagogues and Christmas parties, and among those destinations were Baptist churches. So I was hearing this music before I could remember it. Then I grew up a little bit, and I started to understand a little bit more about it. Then I started to make friends in the community, like Raymond Miles, who was a dear friend of mine from New Orleans. And I just, like anybody, loved the music. And then I met Jonathan Dubose, who's one of the legendary guitar players. And we met, I don't know, 25 years ago. And he's been my guy ever since. And one day I heard Kim Burrell on the radio, and this was going back, 20 years. I said, "Jonathan, I heard this song called Holy Ghost. Who is this person?" And he goes, that's Kim. Would you like me to introduce you?" I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "You should hear the band." He goes, "Yeah, I know, that's me." So I became good friends with Kimmy, and then she introduced me to Nikki Ross, and then I got to know Doobie Powell, and we did so that, I idolized that community, all the Powell brothers, I mean, I could go on and on, but Gene Moore, there's I did. When I was 30, I do a record every 5 years where I have a singer, piano player, and a bass player. And I think it was on this album, 30, I think it was. And they say, "Who do you want to be the singer on this one?" I said, "Reverend James Moore." So James Moore came in and we sang a duo. And I mean, this dude, you try going in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson, right?
I'm very familiar, yes.
You know what I mean? So we sang, and I remember he had like bronchitis that day, and he still wiped the floor with me. So it was, I love the way gospel music makes me feel, and it's always been a part of my life.
How are you coping and your family coping? I mean, I know we're all praying we're at the end of this. How you doing?
We're doing, fine, considering, we've lost a lot of people in our group. I think it's about 14 people now, that have died either from COVID, most of them have, or, like Jill's mom didn't have COVID, but we lost her this year. So it's tough because you can't celebrate their life. You can't go to a funeral. It's tough. But you know, we're doing okay. We have our love, we have our faith, and we'll take it a day at a time. And it helps to know that you're going through stuff too, and we're all going through it. And that really is comforting, because I think we are going to get through it. I know we are. We just got to hang in there a little longer.
Indeed. In addition to this project, you also have a film out, Fear of Rain. What can you tell me about that?
So Fear of Rain is about a young girl who suffers from schizophrenia, and I play her father. Katherine Heigl plays her mother, and she's played by Madison Eisman. And it's kind of a thriller, but I think it gives a pretty real portrayal of this mental illness. And it was a tough film to make, but as a piece of movie making, it's entertaining, and I was thrilled to be a part of that.
Beautiful. If you could go back in time today and speak to young Harry, what kind of advice would you be giving that young man about the future?
Nothing. You know why? Because he wouldn't listen. He would have said, get out of here, man. You don't know what you're talking about. So I would just look at him. I would have said, good luck. All of the experiences, good and bad, that you're about to experience are going to make you who you are down the road. So yeah, he wouldn't listen to me.
Nice. If you could give advice to couples, because you and your wife have been together now well over 20 years, 3 children, how has it lasted?
I love her. I love her. I respect her. We communicate. We're honest with one another, and she remains mysterious to me. I can't say the same about me. I think she knows, you know, I wish I could be mysterious. I'm just not that guy. Like I wish I could be like the cool, reserved person, but I'm not. I'm kind of the big mouth, you know, class clown kind of person. But she still inspires awe in me, and she's my rock. She's my strength, and she allows me to be the best that I can be. A lot of people say, oh, you know, when you get married, you get tied down. It's the opposite, I think. You know, when you marry your best friend and they love you and support you, it kind of gives you wings.
I love it. My last question for you. What's your prayer for the project as people get to hear this new music from you?
I would love for people to know that I was thinking about them, and that I love them, and that I'm praying for them, and that we're all really going through the same thing together. And I hope this album documents a time in our lives that was, you know, laden with tragedy and heartbreak, but also a lot of silver linings and a lot of hope as well.
Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you.
Same here. Thanks so much.